Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us for our Tuesday, May 14th budget work session. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and our chairman will step in just as quick as she can from the car water line, and we'll go ahead and ask for approval of the agenda.
Madam Vice Chair, make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that we approve the agenda to have the superintendent report on finance. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, right hand. Thank you. We are happy to have 4 of us present, and some others might be joining us as we move into our 5 o'clock meeting. So thank you all for being here, that are able to be here with us. Ms. Williams?
Hi, good afternoon to everyone, and I just want to say thank you to Vice Chair Strobel. Just wanted to remind you, we had our very first budget work session on March 26th, and on that date, we had some various departments that come before us just to present their needs. And then we had our very first reading of the budget on April 23rd. And then tonight is our second budget work session. And tonight, you're going to hear the differences between the first reading and the House and Senate version of the budget. So at this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Barrett to come before you as she presents her presentation tonight.
Ms. Williams, is that my phone?
No, it's not.
Thank you, Superintendent Williams, for that greeting. And yeah, if we could get that mic turned up for people that might be watching online.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go over the budget tonight. I'm going to go over the last time we had our first work session of the budget. It was the information that we got from the House budget. Now we have received information from the Senate budget. And the Senate budget normally is the last budget. But we got some information on yesterday telling us that there's going to be an amendment to the House budget because the House trying to amend their budget due to the fact that they're saying that the Senate, that they wanted to fold the teacher salary scale 100%. Well, the Senate budget, of course, did not do that. The Senate budget gave us $200 million. And the House gave us $230 million. So now the House is going back to the Senate, and they're trying to go to the conference committee to try to settle up the difference to see whether or not we're going to get the 200 from the Senate, the 200 million from the Senate, or the 230 million from the House. But the bad news about the scenario is that the amount the school district receive is not locked. So we can't really add it into our budget because we don't know what we're going to get for fiscal year 24-25. So we still have to go on the budget that the Senate is giving us because we don't know any information yet. They're probably going back to do to resolve the issue between the House version of the budget and the Senate, probably back in mid-June. And of course, we have to have our budget in the paper and passed before then, so we won't be able to get that information. But if we do get more money, the only thing it would help us do, it would help us alleviate the fund. Whatever we're going to use from the fund balance, it'll go into that line item to help us alleviate that, whatever we get from the House and the Senate, if they decide to do something different. And the other good news is that the BA, the economics advisors, said they found more revenue than what they projected. So they're thinking that maybe the school district might get a little bit more of that funding also. So we're looking into that. And another funding change that could impact us is that they had put in like millions of dollars for us to take care of our health insurance, because I said before the health insurance had increased to 11.8%. And during the House version of the budget, we had got $10.7 million $72.3 million of the 107. And during the Senate version of the budget, we only got $63.7 million. So that's a difference. So it's really unclear the portion that we're really going to get from the health insurance that's going to be designated to the school. So I'm really looking at the information that we're going to receive, and hopefully we'll have some kind of resolution sometime in June about what's the differences with what the House is going to do for us based on the information that they want us to have more funding to fund the teacher's salary. Is there any question on that?
So, Ms. Barrett, we could still contact our Senate representatives, is that
Yes.
correct? Because they're going to reconvene to take a look at things.
Yeah, they're going to reconvene to try to give us what they said they was going to do in the beginning, but they're going to fund the teachers' increases. And with the House, they did, but the Senate did not do that. So we're hoping that they would definitely fund it for us. And then the teacher salary scale, there's no change. I just wanted to clarify that everyone that what's going to take place with the teacher salary increases. We're going to increase from 23 years to 28 years on the scale, but only the bachelor's degree and no years of experience will get $4,500. Not every cell on the teacher scale will get $4,500. You probably will have a little as $100 between the scale. And that's not the school district doings, that's the doings of the State Department. And whatever they tell us, we have to either do the minimum of that or even do more. So we are doing whatever the state is telling us to do with the teacher salary scale. And of course, we have put our scale out on the website too for review.
Thank you for doing that, Ms. Barrett.
So the step means we used to stop at 23, but it's going
Right.
to keep stepping to 28, correct?
Right. Now we're going up to 28.
And all steps will get at least $100.
At least $100, yes. It used to be sometime in the past, everyone got the same across the board for all sales. But this scale, they're not doing that. They're trying to attract more of the entry-level teachers, so they're giving them more money than the upper-level teachers.
I just wanted to add to that. Yes, the cells, all of the cells have different amounts. Some are $100, some are $300, some are $500, some are $1,000. They're all different based upon the formula that the State Department has used. But I also want to remind everyone that our board did approve a $1,000 retention bonus, so we can add that $1,000 as well to their salaries.
Ms. Williams, Ms. Barrett, where can employees find that proposed pay scale on our website?
It's under the HR department on the website.
And I'm an employee, under I'm an employee,
Oh, yeah.
and I believe it's under the main page on Quick Links.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could, Ms. Fox, can you say that in a microphone so that it can be heard?
So it's under HR, it's also under Quick Links on the website, and I am an employee. Like when you go up to the I am, and then you have that drop box, and just click on employee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams, for reminding us that the $1,000 goes to all the teachers certified and all the classified, the same $1,000 thank you retention.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to go over the House version of the budget and then the Senate version and the difference between the two versions of the budget. Okay. I mean, when we had the House budget was based on the 45-day student count. Okay. The Senate version is based on the 135-day student count. And as I said before, we have lost students between the 45-day student count and the 135-day student count. So when you look at the state of the classroom for the general fund, with the House version, we had a little over $22 million. But when you look at the Senate version, we only have $20 million, and, a little over $20 million, which was a decrease of $1.2 million and some change, okay? When you talk about the state aid class on the EIA, we had, the House version, we had $4.3 million. Whereas the Senate version is $4.2 million, and it's a decrease of $103,739.34. And it has to do, as I say, with the amount of student that we're receiving, and then the funding from the Senate is less. Because, as I said before, the funding from the Senate is not based on the $230 million, but it's based on the $200 million. So that's one of the increases. Now, one thing that the Senate wanted to do, they had put in for the health insurance increase, which that was $11.8 million. They had put it in the state aid, the classroom, but the Senate wanted to show it as new money. So they took it out of the state aid, the classroom, and they put it into a separate line item, which we have to show separately on our financials, and it's there. And that was an increase of $601,575.38 increase. But the teacher beginning salary scale did not increase on any of the version of the budget, but we also had an increase in our bus driver scale, and the bus driver scale increased at 1.25%. So basically, if you look at the version of the budget from the House and the Senate, we did lose money on that version of the budget. Any question on that?
Did the formula change on state aid, or what caused the decrease there? I know you said students are a factor.
The students were a factor, and the fact that we were budgeted to get $200 million, $230 million. But when the Senate came, they only wanted to budget $200 million. So that was the increase that I had talked about the last time, that we was possibly going to be seeing and possibly getting a reduce in our funding based on that.
Superintendent Williams, with the EIA state aid fund, was there another reason we were given that there was less this year?
Well, one of the reasons, as she stated, is the ADM, the student ADM, which is the average daily membership. There's a formula that they use. It's not just based on enrollment, but the average of our student attendance in school. So that was another reason, and it was based upon the 135 ADM as opposed to the 45 ADM with the House version.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Ms. Barrett, do they ever give any logic or reasoning why one uses the 45 and one uses the 135?
Well, it's based on the timing. When we got the House version of the budget, we have not did our 135-day yet for the state to actually calculate everything. So that's why. So when we did the Senate version of the budget, the Senate, we had already turned in our 135-day count, and that's why the difference is that.
Okay, so it's just the most recent
Right.
for the Senate version.
Right. And then, of course, you know, when we get our 45-day, and next year, it'll be either increase or decrease depending on our students then. All of our funding is tied to our students' enrollment, and, well, not really enrollment, the average daily membership of our students. A lot of our funds are tied to that. Okay, and then I just wanted to go over some of the state increase that we were looking at. Like we said before, the teacher salary in the scale with the French was $752,139.87. With the 2.75% to the bus drivers, that was $36,113. An 11.8% increase for the health insurance was $465,137, and the total state increases was $1,253,390 increase to the state budget for us. And yes.
Pardon me, Ms. Barrett, and this is an increase from the first reading in our estimates?
Some of it is a little increase, but I just wanted to go over highlight what we have increased for this fiscal year.
Okay.
But I'm going to go over the difference between the first reading and the second reading. Okay, on the first reading, we had like the state of the classroom was $22 million, and now the state of the classroom is $20 million, which is $1.2 million. And we also went over the EIA funding was $103,000 short, and then the health insurance was an increase, which we get a total decrease of our revenue of $725,596 from what we had from the prior first reading to the second reading. That's a decrease in our revenue for that. Okay, and we had also, between the first reading and the second reading, for expenditures, we had an increase on this reading for dual class enrollment for the high school, and that was a $22,000 increase. We had an increase of the district membership. It's like, we have membership into the, Ms.
So
Williams?
we have memberships with the Low Country Consortium. We have memberships with Salkehatchie Consortium. We have memberships with the Chamber of Commerce. And we have SCASA fees that we pay as well.
So we had to increase the budget by $17,000 for that. And then we got information about our district workman comp insurance went up, and that was $20,512. But also we had the absorption of some vacancies that we was able to absorb, and that decreased the expenditures of $250,856. And then, we still have some increases to the general fund fringe because of the other funds that was into the general fund, so positions, so that was $125,611 increase. So that was part of the increase for our health insurance also that we didn't have before, but now that expense is in the general fund that we have to take care of now. Okay, for the state, any question about that? Okay. The proposed revenue based on the Senate budget, 185 day. The taxes and fee of lieu, it basically stayed the same. We didn't have any changes in that from the last reading. It went up. Indirect costs, of course, we said that the indirect cost is going away, and that's the funding we get from ESSA, and that's going to be going away because ESSA is going away. So we won't have any indirect costs as of after this year here for ESSA. So that's a decrease of $761,000. For the other local revenue, that's our interest and local other revenue that we get in, there was no increase on that. And then you look at our state in lieu of taxes. We had an increase of that of $565,118, and that was mostly, that hasn't changed from the last reading, and that was our Tier 3 that we got. That was basically the increase from Tier 3 homes. Residential exemption was Tier 3, and then we also had the manufacturer depreciation increase of $120,000, so that came up with a $565,118. And then for our restricted grant, you had those like the bus driver salary and fringe and the retiree, and they're called restricted because the only thing we can do is pay for those things are retirees, insurance, and retiree and bus drivers, fringe and salaries and fringe, so that's why they're restricted. But we just had the same, there's no change from that from the last time. It's the same increases. Except the, there was a decrease in the insurance. No, that was not. I'm on the wrong one. That was that was the same amount. PBER was the same. The state aid to classroom is where we had the difference. What we budgeted last fiscal year, the $25 million, and what we proposed to get in the Senate budget, there's a decrease of $767,477. And what we budgeted last year in the classroom, the EIA, was $4,320,150. That was a decrease from what we're getting this year with the Senate budget of $25,491. Medicaid, which is our SCASDAC, is still the same, no increase. We're still getting the $75,000. The health insurance is an increase from what we got. We didn't get the health insurance broken out last year because this is the first time we had to do the 11.8% expenditure. So they did give us the $601,000 for that. So that's an increase to what we had from last year's budget. And of course, our revenue was about $2.9 million short. So we had to use $2,914,124 from fund balance in order for us to balance the budget with the revenue for this year. So we have to use almost $2.9 million for this year revenue. Any question? Okay, with our salaries. The salaries are going to go up from last year. It's going to go up like $3.1 million. The contractor services has stayed the same. Instructional supplies went up $27,000. That's the $22,000 for the high school and the $5,000 for Black Street. Administrative services went up $148,000. That's $128,000 for legal fees and $17,000 for membership dues. The maintenance department didn't go up any increase at all. Utilities went up $235,494, and our property insurance for workman comp went up $20,512. So that gives us a total increase of our expenditures, $3,577,480. So from last year to this year, our expenditures has increased to $3,577,480. And because of the fund balance that we're using for revenue, we have a balanced budget. Any question? Okay. Okay, I'm going to go over the proposed fund balance. We have a projected revenue for fiscal year '25 of $55,957,385. The proposed expenditures for this year was $58,871,509. We had a total revenue shortfall of $2,914,124. And we're going to propose to use the fiscal year '23 fund balance, which was $18,009,098. Okay, we're going to use reoccurring expenditures for this year is $2.9 million. And that, after the reoccurring expenditures, we're going to have an ending fund balance of approximately $50 million. And then we have the retention bonus, which is a one-time expenditures. It's going to be $1.3 million. And our projected fund balance at the end of this projected to be $13,751,287. And I am hopefully projecting to have an increase in our fund balance at the end of this fiscal year here. I don't know exactly how much it is, but I can sort of see we will have an increase, but I don't know how much it's going to be. As far as with our fund balances, the state said we have to have 8.33% of the prior year expenditures, which for us was like $49 million and something last year, which is about $4.1 million that we have to keep in fund balance. But the general accepted accounting principle said we need to have at least 2 months of expenditures of general fund balance, so which is give us about $8.2 million that we have to have in our fund balance in order for us to operate comfortably. Any questions?
And I would just like to say here before your questions, I just want you to know that the district is actively looking for other funding sources. Yes, we know that we will need to take some of the funds from our fund balance, but I want you to know that we're actively seeking grants that we can utilize to take some of the strain off of the general fund budget. We've also asked County Council to support us. We had a very good meeting on last week, Tuesday it was. It went very well. And they were very supportive. They have not shared, what or if they will provide funds for us, but we feel pretty sure that they will support us in some way. And we're also looking at other funding opportunities as well. So I just wanted to let you know that, yes, we do know that we are utilizing our emergency funds, but we are also seeking other funding options as well.
And as a point of clarification and understanding the sequence of action necessary by the board, if the board proceeds next week with the approval, and pardon me if this was reviewed before I got here, but if the board approves next week's reading,
yes,
there's still many uncertainties with regards to what you just mentioned as opportunities for additional funding, grants, county, and the exact amount necessary for our fund balance. So even if the second reading is passed by the board, final numbers are still forthcoming, and that's the reason for that third reading.
Well, the third reading normally is based upon the approval of, unless you have some sort of reading in between, the third reading is the final approval. But one thing about, if more fund is coming in, I mean, it's just a budget. If we're going to get more funds coming in, that means that it's just going to increase our revenue, and it'll be unbudgeted revenue, but it will reduce the amount that we would have used in fund balance. And it would always come, it still would go into our general fund, but it would just reduce the amount we would have to use for fund balance if it comes in later.
Good.
Because some of the information, like from the state, we would not know until after basically time to pass our budget, because of course we got to put it in the paper for public hearing for 15 days. Right. So we got to meet those guidelines for the 15 days. If we don't do that, we would have to do a continuing resolution. If we do that, that means that our expenditure stays the same, our teachers wouldn't get their raise, everything will stay the same until we can pass a budget.
So, Ms. Barrett, you just need a motion from the board to take the action to go, to utilize fund balance,
Yes.
not the specific amount?
To pass,
Because
yes,
that
to
will be-
balance the budget.
And is that action that will be necessary at next week's meeting?
Yes, it would be, and then that be approved the second reading to balance the fund, the budget with fund balance.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board members, are there any other questions? Ms. Williams?
I just wanted to just reiterate some of the things that, some of the expenditures that are contributing to our increase in our budget. And we talked about this as well at our budget work session before, but I just wanted to reiterate that, we have some ESSER positions that are being moved to the general fund. We also have some Office of Exceptional Learning positions that need to be moved to the general fund as well, and also 4 positions from federal funds that had been paid by federal funds in the past that we can no longer pay through that funding source. And then our increases in our teacher salaries, the increases in fringe benefits, the increases in our classified step, our insurance increases, our legal fees have increased, our workman's comp has increased, and we have a decrease in revenue that we're getting from the state. So I just wanted to, just let you know that those are the reasons why our expenditures are higher this year than they were last year. But I also want to say, I also want to, thank our finance department for having such a healthy fund balance in order for us to pull from. And as Ms. Barrett has shared, we're only required to keep 8.33% of the prior year's budget in our fund balance. So that's roughly about $5 or $6 million, and we have 18. And so I just want to thank them for, having that healthy fund balance for us to be able to fall back on.
Ms. Williams, will the board also consider action to invest the remaining fund balance at the conclusion of this financial year, or at what point will that be for consideration of the board?
Yes, so we do have information. Now, exactly when, I'm not sure. That would be a question for Ms. Barrett. She's asking about the investment that we were talking about, placing the money, the fund balance money into the state investment fund. I'm not sure about the timeline for that, but that is something that we're definitely seeking because we can be making more interest off of our money.
Investment fund is very, very safe. It is in taking our money out of our local bank and putting it into the state bank. The state pooled over $12 billion together as a state. There's 75 school districts in it. The state, local and city municipalities, they're all in this pool. And because the interest rate is almost 6%, they are getting, when I went to and talking to various other CFOs, they're saying they got $1 million in interest in 1 year. And our interest actually may be $15,000 a year. So it is no risk on the district. We move the money there, and whenever we need it for expenditures, I can move it back at the same time, the same day I put it in, the next day we'll have the fund back. So it's no risk. It's all done by the state. The state watch for everything with the state treasurer. But to me, we're not doing our funds much as we have. We're not doing any justice by keeping it in the bank where we're only getting $15,000, where we could potentially be getting hundreds of $1,000s.
Again, Ms. Barrett, the timing of that would likely be for the board to consider that at the completion of this financial year.
Anytime, we can do it anytime. It doesn't have any time frame on it, but the quicker we get it in there, the more we can start gaining this interest.
Just curious, what's our interest rate that we're gaining now from
Oh,
that?
God, we at the same as a regular personal interest rate almost, not high at all.
1-2%?
Yeah, not even that,
Okay.
point something percent. I mean, when you talk about much money we got and we only get 15,000, that's nothing. And other districts, we probably have more than them. They get like $1 million. One district told me they got. I talked to the county, she told me she had $889,000 she had got within 1 year. So it's just, we really do need to move our money and make our money work for us.
Sure.
And that'll help us.
I feel like, Ms. Barrett, that is action that is likely necessary for the board to consider, and just to share, I think we're ready to begin to make money on those funds, so that investment information, as soon as it's ready for consideration, let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other presentation, Ms. Williams?
No, that's all the presentations we will have for tonight.
Just want to say thank you to Ms. Williams and the staff that was able to be at the county council meeting on behalf of the budget. And Ms. Williams did an excellent job presenting the information and answering questions, and we all appreciated the support that was there on an extra night to have a meeting.
If there's no other questions, then I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn from our budget session.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded for adjournment of the budget work session. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We now stand adjourned. I thank you, and we'll meet again at 5.